So there's nothing more fun than building something and then sending it down a hill. So today we're going to do exactly that. I got inspired by Nick's board. You might have seen the previous video. It's kind of like a cruiser, like polarizer type of board, but has like massive wheels on it. And here are the parts. Shout out Nick, he was kind enough to help out with a lot of the parts. These are OJ wheels, 75mm Thunder Juice. I feel like these are like monster truck wheels, they can poke over everything. And got some Modus hardware. These are 1.25 inches. On Nick's board he runs, I think, 2 risers or a couple of risers, so hopefully these are long enough. And we also got some Modus bearings as well, TI bearings, titanium polish 66 on the back it says, but yeah, pretty stoked on those. Got some Yindi risers. I think these are 1/4 inch risers. Pretty sure that's 1/4 inch. And then I had these Skate City trucks. These are kind of like, I think they're repop of old trucks, made in USA. I think they used to be on World Cup boards or something like that. Can't remember what it's called. But yeah, I had these for years because I wanted to build a polarizer way back, but I think now that I got hyped again on the board, I can build this. And got some spare boards here. I'm going to use this old, this is an old Baker board that I have. I think it was pretty small, it was like 7.8, but it has a short wheelbase, which I like. And then it has a little chip, so no worries cutting it up. And then I had the other boards just in case I need to make risers out of them. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to do was kind of just put the wheels on the trucks and then put the riser pads on and then see if they need more risers, just because if I need more, if the wheel bites on the board, like hits the board, then that's going to be an issue. But yeah, these bearings are pretty sick. They spin pretty well and they come with the spacers as well, which I'm pretty stoked about. I didn't know if the bearings was going to come with spacers. But yeah, basically just pop them in, line them up, and I just pushed them in by hand. And then I'm just going to tighten them once they get on the truck. And then that will kind of like squeeze them all together. And yeah, I'm super hyped on these wheels. I think that's one of the appeals of this, doing a setup like this. You can basically just ride over anything and then everything becomes a spot again. You can kind of just like step out your door and then start rolling. And I know you can do this with any skateboard, but yeah, this will definitely make it way more cushy. But yeah, I kind of miss those kind of simpler times where, you know, when you're younger, you can kind of just like step out of your house or whatever, and then you can just go, whether it's like you skate or ride, whatever, anything is kind of just anything goes. I know it's a lot different these days because like literally I'm just like skating skate parks, and yeah, I kind of miss that freeing feeling. Alright, so basically got all the wheels on, all the bearings on, and yeah, it spins spins hella good. I can't remember the last time I had new bearings, but these spin awesome. And then yeah, now I'm going to chuck the trucks on the board. I also wanted to see how wide I want to cut it, but you can see it's basically, it just looks like that. It's pretty close to the width of the wheels. I think I'm going to make it a bit skinnier, just to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit lighter, bit more whippy. And then here is the riser pads. I didn't screw them in, but I'm just pushing down on it just to see if it hits the board, and then just loosening it up to make sure it doesn't hit. And it seems pretty decent with just the one riser pad, so I'm just going to run it like that. And then here, just to figure out the shape of the board, I basically just got A4 paper and folded it in half, and then I'm gonna draw my shape on it and then cut it out. I actually learnt this off like an old Mark Gonzalez video where he does his like custom board, and he kind of just draws the shape, yeah, just the same way. So I figure may as well just try the same thing, see if it works. It'll be kind of good, I think, kind of good to see it before I cut it out, just so I can visually see it. I was just going to go ham and just cut it, but I figure I may as well do this extra step. It probably doesn't matter. I think if you're doing it yourself and you want to skip this step, you can just skip it. But yeah, here I wanted kind of like a square shape, but tape it off at the nose, kind of like this, I guess. But after cutting it out and putting it down, I wasn't really into the shape. I thought it looked a little bit, yeah, it just looked whack. So I don't know, I guess there's no real way to decide what looks good or what looks bad, but just your own preference. But yeah, I decided I like the tail end better, and I think that looks sick, so I decided to make that on the front end as well. So kind of just, yeah, more symmetrical, kind of like a almost like a box shape, I guess, but with just rounded off corners, kind of a little bit tapered. The other thing is I'm going to be cutting this out with hand saws, so I'm kind of limited to kind of what I have. But yeah, I cut out the shape, taped it together, and put it down, and I think it looks pretty sick. Yeah, just like a square piece of board. Yeah, I think if I had a different if I had a jigsaw or something, I would probably make it a bit rounder, but yeah, I actually don't mind a square shape. Here's the tools I'm using. I have like a steel hacksaw and just like a small wood saw. And yeah, I just kind of like cut it off. It just ripped through it pretty easy this way because I think the grain of the wood, and also I'm used to cutting metal, so it kind of just ripped through real easy. But you can kind of see what it looks like. I try to curve it as close as I can to the pen mark, but yeah, those ends are off, and I was pretty stoked on that. So now it's time to cut off the sides. And cutting up the sides was kind of like way more of a pain because for some reason, it was just like way harder because I guess the grain of the wood went a different way. So yeah, it was a little bit of a pain, and I had to cut little sections off as well just to make sure, because my hacksaw would kind of like hit the top of the hacksaw and you couldn't cut anymore. So I had to use a combination of like the two saws to try to make it work. Alright, so then I did it finally. I just cut just two kind of straight sides. I tried to put a slight bow in it because that was kind of like my design or whatever, but you can see how it goes. It's not 100% perfect or whatever, but yeah, it's a DIY board, so whatever. And I was actually going to just run it like this because I got sick of cutting. And at the moment, I was actually I was recovering from shingles as well. Don't ask, but I didn't want to exert like tons of energy just so I can recover faster. But yeah, I decided I wanted to do a better job than just have it like completely square. And I think if you just hit the square end, it'll split as well. So I need to curve it at least so it didn't split open. And then I ended up using this small metal file again. All my tools are for metal because I work on bikes or whatever. But it seemed to work okay, so I decided not to buy a tool that I'm only going to probably use one time, or if next time I might buy a proper tool. But I started filing down all the edges, and I decided to kind of really shape the board now. I'm sure a woodworker is watching this and probably just like cracking up or having a fit either way that I'm doing it wrong. But yeah, just me making use of what I have, and then yeah, just cutting the corners off so I could like file it down better. Because yeah, filing it down so it's kind of smooth does take a little bit. I will say though, it's actually quite cathartic, and yeah, I can kind of understand when people shape surfboards or things like that. You can just spend hours and hours doing it, and yeah, it's kind of quite zen as well. So you can see this is the curve that I got. I spent a bit of time on it, but I'm pretty happy with how the both ends turned out. Again, not 100% perfect, but I think I like it. And then decide to sand down the sandpaper a little bit more, or the grip tape on the corners, and I just use wooden sandpaper. I think this is 240p or 240 grit. Yeah, just sanding down the edge so it doesn't like peel up when I crash, because it probably will crash. And that's looking good. And yeah, time to put everything together. I was super hyped at this point. I just wanted to ride it. I think it's that IKEA effect when you like build something, you're kind of super attached to it. So yeah, I was kind of hyped at this point, and yeah, just want to get all the parts on. So yeah, chuck the bolts on. These bolts also come with 2 extra blue bolts in case you need to see a front end or you need to know which is the front. But because my board is basically symmetrical, I'm just gonna do the thing where you don't need to you can ride it both ways, but I'll probably only end up riding one way. I do have the grip tape set up in a way where there's a line, so I don't know. I don't know if people are like this. Some people only ride a board a certain way, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then yeah, here just putting on the hardware, putting all the bolts on. The bolts are long enough, so I was stoked on that. No problems there. And yeah, just time to test it. Make sure there's no wheel bite after I hop on. And yeah, you can see basically no wheel bite. I don't think it's gonna bite at any point. So I'm kind of just putting all my weight on it, and I think it will be all right. I do have my trucks pretty loose as well, just to make sure I can test it like that. And then for some reason, I really wanted to do this. I sprayed isopropyl alcohol just to get rid of the extra pen mark that I had on there, just the outline. For some reason, this was kind of like the working out for me, and I don't know, I felt wrong to kind of leave it on, so I just got rid of it. And that's that. Here's the final thing. I was like so hyped on it. I was like super stoked to ride it. And yeah, you can see it doesn't have like a tail or a nose, so kind of like a pure rolling machine. And the board, when I cut out the board and put the trucks on, it ended up being like pretty centered, so the shape wasn't like too whack or anything, because I felt like that would have bugged me. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Here's the top side. You can see the line of the grip tape. Still got kind of like a front and a rear, just very subtle. One thing that was unexpected was these axles of these trucks actually sit out further to each end, so it made the wheelbase a bit longer. They do have extra bolt holes, so I could kind of like push it in and drill more holes, but I decided to ride it before I do that. So yeah, the last thing to do is give it a rip. You can probably see I had so much fun on the board. Honestly, you can just like go outside and it's so much fun. You can ride anything, and yeah, when you're hitting those speed wobbles, you definitely feel those endorphins going. I think the wheelbase is good on it. If anything, I wish I had a little bit more nose and tail just to feel a little bit more secure. The width is good and no bite on the wheels, so that's good too. Here's some B-roll clips. Honestly, not too much to say about it. It's just so much fun. If you're looking for a fun project and yeah, fun like how it used to be, Give it a shot. You won't regret it. Just so good. And can't wait to ride it more. Big thanks to Nick again. And thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.